Hello and welcome to Box, a Formula One podcast. I am the hat that Nico Rosberg threw at Lewis Hamilton, Shannon Hayes.
And I am Michael Schumacher's three-tired car from the 1998 Belgian Grand Prix, Sam Cockcroft.
And I am Gunther's Volksmacht door, Merel Huisman.
Welcome to the drama episode. We are going to be discussing our favorite bits of drama with our pettiest drivers. And that is going to be the theme of the episode. But first, we're going to start with some news. And I think top of the list, everyone's talking about it. What happened to Sebastian's hairline?
Where did it go? Where
did it go?
Oh my.
You can tell those years at Ferrari really stressed him out.
Yep.
The promo photos for Aston Martin were not his best. And he definitely looked like a barbecue dad.
He just aged like 20 years since the end of the season.
Yeah.
I know. Like, it's been like 2 months and he looks like he's 40 years older. I don't know what happened.
He finally went into lockdown and had the decision to shave off all his hair. Terrible decision.
Yeah, he had his quarantine breakdown.
Yeah.
Just his Britney Spears moment where he started going back with the razor.
I think it's possible that, you know what, the Aston Martin was just so much faster than the Ferrari that it just whoosh, blew all his hair back.
He hasn't been used to being in a fast car.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for him, though. All the memes are so bad. I mean, our meme was
he
good.
He can afford some Rogaine. He can afford, a sponsorship, a toupee. He can get something. That was his choice to release those promo pics as they were.
I mean, was it his choice? Do you think he, was scrolling through his Twitter, and then he's like, oh my god. How did they do this to me?
That must have been a sad moment to be like, oh god, I'm gonna get dunked on relentlessly for these.
The one he posted was of himself in the car with his helmet on, so you can't tell in his photo. But the Aston Martin ones are he's all bald.
That was
so
really
sad.
mean of them to post. Meanwhile, Lance Stroll is flaunting his full head of hair, oh, who's the better teammate now, Seb?
I just hope that Aston Martin gets some WTF1 social media points for that savage move, because they deserve it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
100%. That was shady. That was drama. That was a team attacking their own driver, for sure. But aside from the hairline, we do also have some other news this week.
Well, I mean, it was also Seb's first week at Aston officially, too, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Aside from the hairline thing, it was cool to finally see him at Aston Martin.
He finally looks happy.
Bald, but happy.
He's in his golden years. We've also got the esports Virtual GP coming up tonight.
Today, yeah.
Well, today, I guess, depending on your time zone.
Yeah. Well, and if you're listening to this, hopefully tomorrow.
It was yesterday.
So.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yesterday. and next weekend, I think, right? There's 3 weekends, I think. I think this year, because it went so well last year because of lockdown and everything, they're doing more.
Well, the feature race lineup is out. And I like that Williams just has their normal Williams lineup. It's just George Russell and Nicholas Latifi. Haas has both Fittipaldis. I didn't realize that Charles Leclerc has a younger brother.
A brother
but he sure
in
does.
F2. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. He's racing for
really?
Ferrari, so that's cute. It's on brand.
Hell yeah.
Alex Albon is with Red Bull, which is hilarious and a little sad.
It's a bit sad.
I mean, at least he can be Red Bull in one way.
It's a consolation prize. It's does he really want to be there?
You know, it's just really putting salt in the wound at this point, I feel like.
It really is. And then other news was Ferrari's practices for Mick and Sainz this weekend. Or this past week. Seemed pretty good. I think Sainz drove the 2018 car and he said everything felt good and everything went well, so nothing much to report, but just that it happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to actually see him, getting a chance to use the car and drive the car, unlike
Yeah.
Seb, but and the other new people at their teams.
And then the other thing that happened this week is that Netflix announced a new F1 thriller coming out with Robert De Niro and John Boyega. It's called The Formula, and it's a film about an American F1 driver who becomes involved with the mafia and is forced...
What? I have not heard about this at all.
and he's forced to serve as a getaway driver to save his family. So
oh my god, what the fuck?
I'm hype.
I heard some of these details, but it was just a lot worse than I thought it was gonna be. I also watched
hype.
I watched this video of like the worst like racing movies, and a lot of them seem very bad. Even though they're like well received by the general public, not super well received by racing fans. Cars, on the other hand, good movie.
Yeah, Cars. Cars is the best racing movie, hands down.
Yes.
Easy. I want to know more about this movie. That's exciting. I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, they just announced it. I don't think there's a lot. They haven't said a lot about it, but
Is there a release date?
Have they even started production?
no. They just announced that it's happening, I think.
Yeah, because I don't remember. Netflix released that reel for all of the movies that they're gonna release in 2021. I don't remember anything like that on there. So at least a year away, unfortunately.
But Drive to Survive is coming out in March, the next season.
Oh shit!
So I'm so hyped for that too. Apparently it's good. Apparently a lot of stuff happened this year, so it better be.
Certainly eventful.
I mean, the season itself was good, so the show better be good.
Better be. If they're gonna try and fit that into 10 episodes again this time, that'll be hard, because there's so much that happened.
There's a lot to unpack with this season.
Yeah.
But I guess that means that I should finally finish season 2, because I never did that.
Oh. Yeah, do it. It's fine though. You kept up with the actual stuff, so.
Yeah. I guess it's fine.
It's fine.
So box. No, stay up. Hey, man.
Hello, this is Merel and Sam checking in after the Virtual GP that happened today. We just wanted to update you with what happened there, and also some other updates that happened in the past 6 hours. So the Virtual GP, Enzo Fittipaldi came in first, Van Doren came in second, and Leclerc came in third.
Arthur Leclerc. Not.
That's Arthur Leclerc, yeah. Leclerc's brother. It was so fun to watch. If you haven't watched it, definitely watch it. I was very surprised by how entertained I was the whole time.
Yeah, it's definitely so different, but also really funny to watch. And it's just weird because it's not a lot of the same drivers. You have a couple repeats, like Pietro Fittipaldi, George Russell, who didn't race this time around, but we'll hopefully see him next week. Sad. Then Alex Albon
was there. So great to see his face again. I am sad that we didn't get to hear more of the team radio type stuff, but hopefully maybe we'll be able to see that later on. I don't know. Also, you recognized the goalie, right? Is he Real Madrid?
Yeah, the Real Madrid goalie Thibaut Courtois, who's also I think a goalie for the Belgian national team, which was cool.
He did really well. He came in 10th.
He did. I was surprised. I was like, "What is this guy doing?" And then I think
awesome.
I read the wrong thing, but I guess he did do a virtual Grand Prix last season. Luis Fonsi. What's up with that?
What?
They just get all these random celebrities to come do it. I think it's really cool because you'd never see them in an F1 race, but it's cool to see that this is something that they do in their free time.
Yeah, and one of the Twitch streamers who joined today also was doing it on his trackpad. He was racing on the laptop, and everyone else had the steering wheel and everything.
Yeah, I think it was Matt from WTF1 who commented on Enzo Fittipaldi's setup because he had all of the forces coming, so you could see his steering wheel setup shaking as he went over the curbs and stuff like that.
Oh my, that's
And you
sick.
can do that on a lot of the setups, but his was like turned up all the way. Like
Yeah.
he was really like feeling like he was in a car, which is cool.
Wow. Well, another thing Maddie said was that in the first 20 laps, there was 163 seconds worth of penalties, which I think that just sums up the whole virtual GP
Yeah.
thing.
Like that's what esports is. It's just penalties.
Yeah. Penalties.
Yeah, because I guess he was saying that because they don't have like damage on the cars, that's how they have to have damage, I guess, or like make consequences of collisions, which is just wild.
Okay, that's fair, I guess. Well, in other news, I mean, definitely watch the virtual GPs if you haven't, or also next weekend there's one, so I'd recommend watching. But in other news, Gasly just announced like an hour ago that he also has COVID, so that's fun. I think by the start of this season, everyone except maybe like Carlos will have had COVID.
Honestly. Well, Max hasn't gotten it yet. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I think he's next. I predicted he would be next instead of Gasly, but I guess Gasly just beat him to it.
We'll see who's up next weekend. I wonder.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then also this weekend was the 24 Hours of Daytona, which is outside of the box once again. But also Kevin Magnussen, the former Haas driver, raced on, I think it was Chip Ganassi's team this race, and they were in second place, super close to maybe overtaking the leader and winning in like the last 10 minutes, and then they had a rear puncture and had to pit and then lost a bunch of time, which I just his bad luck follows him everywhere.
R.I.P. Magnussen. Yeah. Fitting for this podcast.
Yeah. And I think also what I also read today while I was looking up his news with the 24 Hours of Daytona, he was offered a reserve/test driver spot with McLaren, which I didn't realize, and he turned it down, which, I mean, that's fair. I didn't really...
I don't know. I feel like I would expect him to take it.
I think the argument was basically just he wants to actually race. I feel like reserve and test drivers don't do much. Like, except for this past season, you don't normally see reserve drivers racing. So...
Well, I mean, the likelihood of one of the drivers getting COVID is pretty high. So he would probably have like a higher percentage of actually racing.
That's true.
Anyway.
Well, I guess Lando had COVID already, didn't he? So.
Yeah. But you can get it twice.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Danny Rick hasn't had COVID. That's surprising. I don't know why. I feel like he would have had it already.
Wait, he's in LA.
Yeah, I just feel like yes,
maybe he secretly had it.
Yeah. I think maybe yes, because he's was he in Australia at some point? I don't know. But Australia's been really good.
I don't know. He's in LA right now.
Yeah, okay. The fact that he's in LA and just I feel like his personality is just so social that I feel like he'd be having a hard time being alone and therefore would get COVID.
Well, that's our update. On to the rest of the episode.
Yeah, I guess so. Happy Monday, everyone.
All right, well, with that, why don't we get into the real drama of the episode? I think we're going to start off with our first dramatic and petty person, Kevin Magnussen.
Yes. Tell us. What's the scoop?
Yo, I found a list of F1 villains, and K-Mag was on it. People don't like him. I didn't realize this because my only interaction with Kevin Magnussen, I say as if I've spoken to him. Yeah. My only introduction to him was through Drive to Survive, and they're very sympathetic when they look at him. They're not very on the offensive. You just see that one interaction where he tells Nico Hülkenberg to suck his balls, mate. And so that's what got me interested in the man, the myth, the legend of Kevin Magnussen. I just think it's funny how these two almost identical looking men, if I'm honest. These two very blonde.
I just feel like you can't do Nico Hulkenberg dirty like that, because he's way better looking than K-Mag.
No.
I know, he's so wholesome. I didn't realize that Kevin Magnussen was like this villain of F1. I thought he was also kind of wholesome, but apparently not. So yeah, that's actually what started his villain trajectory arc, was that 2017 Hungarian GP, where he pushed Hülkenberg off the track, made him go wide, and then, cost him a good race. And then obviously Hülkenberg comes up to him during the interviews and interrupts him and says, like, "Oh, very sportsmanlike, good job." And Kevin Magnussen has that iconic quote of, "Hey, suck my balls, mate."
Suck my balls, mate.
So that's very good. And then it's all been downhill from there, I'm happy to say, because he's only gotten in more and more tiffs after that. 2018, two of these involve Fernando Alonso in 2018. Fernando Alonso, at the time McLaren driver and DILF of my dreams. Okay.
No.
Anyway.
Absolutely. You're alone in that, Shannon. You're alone.
Ultimate DILF. Listen to Fernando speak. Just listen to his driver radios and tell me you don't fall in love with the man who can have like a full conversation while going 300 kilometers per hour. Anyway, so the 2018 British Grand Prix at Silverstone, during the actual race, there's like 3 separate times on like 3 different turns where Fernando Alonso was like right behind Magnussen, and he should have been able to pass him, and Magnussen does this thing where he'll swerve and get right in the way of them and not leave them any room. And
say NASCAR,
obviously
buddy.
Fernando, it's quite dangerous, to be honest, like when you watch back the videos, because I watched them back, and I understand, like, defend your position, but he's not doing it safely.
No.
He's
not
very
like that.
aggressive, and he's known for pushing people off the track, and it's not good. And you hear Alonso have this like whole conversation with his engineer of him being like, "This is so dangerous. He's been cutting me off through turn whatever, and like, he keeps doing this. We're gonna crash. This guy isn't safe." He has like this whole, monologue about how unsafe of a driver in the middle of a race. It's really good. He finally passes him, by the way, so we got some sweet redemption.
Good.
And then later that season, also in 2018, at the Italian Grand Prix in Monza, during qualifying, basically Alonso was trying to get a bit of a tow from Magnussen during one of his qualifying laps. So he was behind him for a bit, and he tried to go up to pass him. And this was just qualifying, mind you, so it didn't warrant this level of aggression. But of course, Magnussen does that same move where he swerves to basically cut him off, and he pushes, or I think he actually collides with Alonso and forces him off the track. So yeah, it's a bit yikes, and it cost both of them their qualifying times, so not good. And then in 2019, obviously, we had that incident where both of them, both of the Haas's collided with one another. Which, it wasn't strictly Magnussen's fault that time, but he did, go and folk smash Gunther's door afterwards. So obviously a bit of a temper issue on K-Mags. So yeah, that's basically the gist of it. He's now leaving. I wish he wasn't, though. I wish he was still the Haas villain, because in my eyes he's still a lot better than Marzipan. You know what? So I'll take an angry boy who pushes people off the track over, a sexual assaulter who pushes people off the track any day.
I agree.
But anyway, that's the drama with K-Mags.
I mean, I think the reason he's such a good villain is because we still like him. He's still okay.
Very true. I think he's funny, at least. He's a funny villain.
Yeah.
Because, even in interviews and stuff afterwards, I think with the Alonso drama, he was like, this guy thinks, he's a god just because he's been in the game for so long. And, he went on, a whole tirade against Alonso.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, but he also went on a tirade against Ulkenberg, and Ulkenberg doesn't deserve it, so...
No, that's fine. That's fair.
But yeah.
Yeah.
That's K-Mags. We miss our good villain. I hope the Dane comes back and just starts some more drama. And, I hope to see him again one day. I don't think we will, but
I feel like this is the kind of drama that's okay in F1. This is the kind of drama in F1 that we want.
yeah.
Yeah.
These minor tiffs. No one really got hurt. He just clips a lot of people or like pushes them off the track for no reason. But like it's a little funny when you just tell someone to suck my balls in the middle of an interview. It's great. Yeah. So we're going to miss Kevin Magnussen. He was such a good villain, and sad to see that he will not be joining us for 2021.
Nice. Well, then should I go next?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay.
We're not ready.
A big spy story.
Ooh.
Yeah. Our story starts in the 1990s with a guy named Nigel Stepney. He's in charge of Ferrari mechanics, and he's part of the Ferrari Dream Team with Michael Schumacher, Jean Todt, and a bunch of others that like help Ferrari out of the ditch and like kind of bring them back into the playing field after like some bad seasons. So Stepney is a mechanic without a college degree, but he's like the right-hand man of Ross Brawn, who was Ferrari's technical director at the time. And their like power is kind of cemented when all their hard work pays off, and Ferrari brings home 5 championships from 1999 to 2004. So they're all like, we're at the top of our game, like no one can hurt us, blah, blah, blah. And then in 2006, obviously Schumacher retires, and it's announced that Ross Brawn, the technical director, is going into sabbatical. So now Stepney is on his own, like his power allies are no longer there, and he's like, well, I guess now's the time for me to, snatch one of those technical director roles. So he goes into 2017 thinking, yeah, like this is my chance. I'm gonna probably get one of those roles since there's like openings. But he doesn't realize, I guess, that he's not qualified for that. He doesn't have a college degree. He has no experience in a role like that. So when the role is filled by Mario Omondo, he has a track record and has worked at Ferrari for a long time, Stepney is infuriated. He has an interview and is quoted saying, "I'm not happy with the team, and I really want to move forward in my career." And throughout the interview, he basically advertises that he's looking for a new role within F1. And everyone's pretty confused because Ferrari is known to be pretty brutal with like its employees speaking up like that. And then for the rest of the 2007 season, Ferrari decides that Stepney is no longer traveling with the team and he's just staying at their like home location.
This is like such a classic villain origin story. I'm like, I'm ready.
Yeah, okay, so that was a little bit of like intro to who Stepney is and how right now, it's middle of 2007, he's a little annoyed. He's not where he wants to be, and he feels like he deserves more. It's now May 2007, and we're 4 GPs into the season. Some weird things are starting to occur. It's the week prior to Monaco GP, and a mechanic finds white powder near one of the Ferrari cars. The police is called immediately, and everyone is searched. It turns out Nigel Stepney has the powder in his pockets, and they also find it in the car's fuel tank. So
He's trying to anthrax a car to death? What the fuck?
And they like analyze it, and it's the same powder. The powder that's in his pocket is around the car and in the car's fuel tank. So Ferrari has enough information to open up an investigation, and they launch a complaint against Nigel Stepney. On July 3rd, 2007, Stepney is fired, but they're not done. Ferrari says that they have reason to believe that an engineer from McLaren has been working with Stepney, and they're concerning a theft of technical information from the Ferrari mechanics. Something's going on.
Something is definitely afoot.
And on July 10th, a high court hearing is initiated against Michael Coolen. I'm going to say that. I don't know exactly how you pronounce it. He's the chief designer at McLaren. So a high court hearing is initiated, and they give Coolen some time to submit some sort of affidavit. But there's an important part of the story that unfortunately I wasn't able to place exactly when this happened. It just did. At some point during the season, a lady went into a copy shop in Surrey County, which is home to the McLaren F1 team, and asked an employee to make a copy of a 780-page document onto a disk drive. The copy shop employee, who was a Ferrari fan, noticed that these pages had an official Ferrari emblem in the bottom. So after making the copy and after work, the employee who took note of the lady's name, which was Trudy Coolen, finds that she is married to Michael Coolen, who is the chief designer at McLaren. So the employee emails the Ferrari sporting director, Stefano Domenicali, and so this provided evidence that McLaren had the official documents of the Ferrari F1 car. So now they have proof that Coolen had classified Ferrari documents with the email from the copy shop. It directly connected the information that they found out that Stepney had stolen this information and had given it to Coolen. So not only had he tried to drug the car with some white powder, he'd also stolen official documents from Ferrari and given them to McLaren.
So did they ever specify what the white powder was?
I couldn't find what it was. I mean, it was put in the fuel tank, so I'm assuming it would have made the car slower.
Okay.
I don't know. You said white powder, and I was like, did he just sprinkle cocaine next to the car? Is that
He's like, oh, I tripped and spilled my pockets full of cocaine everywhere. Oh no.
So obviously there's a hearing, and the Coolens say that they'll be 100% cooperative in exchange for dropping the high court case and having everything handled internally, and that ends up happening. So that's all happening with Ferrari, and at this time also, McLaren is also doing an internal investigation on Coolen, because they said that they had no idea that any of this was going on and that this is all Coolen's doing. They came back saying that the information that Stepney gave to Coolen about the documents didn't reach anyone else in the factory. So it was Coolen and Stepney, they were in it together, and no one else at McLaren knew about this. So fast forward 2 weeks to July 26th, when McLaren is brought in front of the World Motorsport Council to answer to the charges of breaching Article 151. McLaren has been open about everything. They even provided blueprints of their car to anyone asking, to show that they hadn't used Ferrari's plans or anything. Because of that, the council decides that they can't charge McLaren, basically. So McLaren just is fine. So now it's the first week of August, and we're at the Hungarian GP. Ron Dennis the CEO of McLaren, the McLaren Group at the time, comes forward and accuses Ferrari of cheating in that year's opening GP, which was Australia. And the person who Dennis had gotten this information from was Stepney.
You just solved all your problems caused by this guy, and you want to listen to his advice?
Yeah. And so everyone's like, okay, we're not listening to that. So nothing is done. No one is like, okay, no one looks into it. And then during the Hungarian GP, everything is going good. Both McLarens are doing really well in practice and quali. By the way, the McLarens at the time were Lewis and Fernando. And during Q3, both Lewis and Alonso are called in to make a double stack pit stop. Alonso comes in first, and with Hamilton right behind him, after changing his tires, the crew holds Alonso back for an extra 20 seconds for no good reason, and with Hamilton stuck behind him, basically holds up Hamilton for an extra 30 seconds in total.
Oh my god.
That's worse than the double stack from this season.
Yeah.
What happens is that Alonso makes it out for Q3, but because of the delay, Lewis doesn't make it out for Q3, and Lewis is like basically doesn't set a time for Q3, so is kept out of Q3.
Oh my god. What the fuck?
Oh my god.
Yeah, and Alonso does get a penalty for this. He's demoted from pole because he managed to set such a good lap. He's demoted from pole to
Why was he
6th
demoted
place.
for his team's fuck up? Wait, what?
Well, because he should have. I mean, that happens all the time, right? It's always the drivers that get the flack, but.
I don't understand why if his pit crew held him back 20 seconds, isn't that penalty enough?
Well, so
I mean, it's qualifying because he still was able to. Like, you don't have to be out during the whole qualifying time. So
yeah,
I don't know.
No, but it held back Lewis though. It held back Lewis.
I just don't understand why he would get a penalty.
But they also were taken away 1 championship point.
Oh my god.
Wow.
But anyway. So that happened, and then that happened during the quali, and then on the morning of the race, Alonso meets with Ron Dennis, who's McLaren's CEO, and in that meeting, Alonso threatens Dennis that he's gonna tell the FIA about the conversations that they've had with Colin about the car and the information from Ferrari. Colin.
The guy who they previously said that they were not affiliated with and he didn't share any of his information.
Didn't know. Yeah, so this is the guy.
Okay.
This is the guy who had his wife copy those Ferrari documents.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah.
The Coolin? Is he Coolin or Colin?
I don't know how to spell it,
No.
so I don't know how it's pronounced.
It's Coughlin.
Oh, Coughlin?
Yeah.
Coughlin.
Irishman. Isn't that Irish?
Yeah, that's Irish,
Okay.
baby.
Well, I guess now I'll change my Coolin to Coughlin then. Coolin has now become Coughlin. So, so basically, Alonso meets with Ron Dennis, McLaren CEO, and in the meeting, Alonso threatens Dennis that he'll tell the FIA about conversations they've had with Coughlin about the car and the information that Coughlin stole from Ferrari. With that happening, Dennis goes straight to Max Moxley, who's the president of the FIA, and tells him about this conversation. But he says to Max Moxley that this is an empty threat from Alonso, and doesn't mean anything. Like, we don't know about this.
How?
But
How?
So it
Like,
seems
that
like
doesn't make sense.
It
Sus.
seems like this is like Dennis's idea of damage control, but it backfires because Mosley is like, no, McLaren has obviously been lying to us this whole time.
I mean, yeah, what did you think was gonna happen? That's so stupid.
So, after the Turkish GP on September 5th, it turns out there's more evidence. Because after Dennis came to Mosley, they opened another investigation and they found extensive conversations between Coughlin, Pedro de la Rosa, and Alonso that were occurring digitally. And they found 288 texts and 35 calls between Coughlin and Stepney. So Stepney was the one that used to work at Ferrari, and Coughlin was the one that had the stolen documents. As well as emails from drivers incriminating themselves and the McLaren team, capitalizing on stolen information from Ferrari. One of these emails that really just showed that they were lying was an email from De La Rosa to Alonso, and it said, "All the information from Ferrari is very reliable. It comes from Nigel Stepney, their former chief mechanic. I don't know what post he holds right now, but he's the same person that told us in Australia that Kimi Räikkönen was stopping on lap 18. He's very friendly with Mike Coughlin, our chief designer, and told him that." So basically, they've been conversing with Mike Coughlin since the beginning of the year, and it also showed that they'd been prepared to use all of this information to their advantage. Basically, McLaren was fined $100 million.
Shit.
Yeah, seems about right.
All their championship points were dropped.
Ooh.
Damn. I mean, it's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that neither Hamilton nor Alonso were excluded from the driver championships.
So the team lost their points, but the drivers didn't lose their points.
Yeah.
So wait, I still have a question. How did that one pit stop, the double stack, fit into this?
Oh, it was more just that I think that it was important because Alonso then after that came and had that conversation with Dennis, the CEO.
Just because he was mad about the double stack?
I think so.
Well, because he was mad that he lost pole.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
makes sense.
I just don't understand that threat. That's so random.
So
I know.
because you took my pole position away from me by having an incompetent pit crew,
I'm gonna
destroy the entire team, basically.
It's just
just a little bit more of karma that was kind of funny is that both McLarens did really poorly in the last GP, and Alonso was up in first place, but because of the bad race he had, Kimi ended up winning that year's Drivers' Championship, so Kimi was the world champion that year.
Kimi!
Okay, but what happened with Kimi's whole cheating thing at the first race? Wasn't that a thing?
They didn't do anything about it. But also though, on December 13th, McLaren sent out a press release where their COO basically said, "Yeah, we knew about all of this. Everyone was lying. We're sorry."
Unbelievable.
What a press release.
And then Ron Dennis came forward trying to say that he told the FIA that all along there was more evidence from Alonso and stuff like that, but Max Moxley immediately shut that down and was saying, "No, actually, Ron Dennis was the one that lied to me and said that Alonso's threat was an empty threat." So, yeah. I thought it was super crazy.
Yeah, that's
Damn.
all totally insane. And here's what I don't understand is why, did this guy really hate Ferrari that much for not giving him the job that he decides to do all of this for, I feel like there has to be more motivation to it. I feel like McLaren had to have, offered him, a job or money or something. Because,
Oh, they definitely paid him for it. He
yeah,
probably was paid. And just because he hated Ferrari, it was you could pay him to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it seemed like he was upset that he didn't get these, like, career advancements that he felt he deserved. So, like, I just don't understand how you think you're gonna get them by sabotaging your team.
You just decide to self-destruct. You're like, fuck
Yeah.
this team. They don't
Pretty much.
respect me. They don't value my labor. Oh, hell no. I'm blowing it up from the inside. I'm gonna spill my cocaine all over that engine. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, well, this is Spygate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a documentary on it on YouTube. It's like a 30-minute long documentary.
Ooh.
I was sent it by a friend. I'll go full mask off for a second. I have not watched the documentary yet. I've literally had the tab open in my browser for like a month, and I've just been meaning to sit down to like watch it, but haven't done it yet.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Well, I would just like to say that I think it's hilarious that Alonso was involved in Crashgate and that he was also involved in this.
Well, he's involved in both of the gates.
Yep.
And
hopefully we'll get another one this year.
Yeah, we'll probably will.
Keep them coming, Alonso. We love you. We're big stans.
No.
Wait, also, what's really crazy is that a lot of people that were involved in this scandal are still involved in F1 today. So
What's Dennis up to these days?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure he left like pretty soon after all of this.
Because I've like I would say like a good portion of these names were like kind of unfamiliar to me, but some of them.
Oh, really?
Oh, well, okay,
Yeah.
some of them. I like definitely heard of Ron Dennis before.
Yeah, I've never heard of Lewis Hamilton though. That was
Yeah, I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I wonder.
New guy.
I wonder if we'll see him this year.
God, I hear he's a good up and comer. He's he
A
usually
rookie.
flies under the radar though.
Anyway,
That's some good drama. Spygate's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Very good one.
What's your drama, Sam? What do
Yeah.
you got cooked up for us? Spill this tea.
Okay, well, here's the thing, is I started out and I couldn't really think of anything super, super interesting. So I'm going to say what I was originally going to do, because I feel like it's also very interesting. And then we'll get into some more drama. Basically, I watched this one video and I learned of, just a unique Michael Schumacher situation from 1998 in the British Grand Prix, where he won the race from the pits. And I just, right? Not really drama, but just absolutely fascinating in my opinion.
How?
Yeah, so basically, he's racing, everything's going very, normally, whatever. It's raining, it's wet, he's, like, kind of head-to-head with, Mika Häkkinen, the other, like, Finnish driver of the 90s.
Yeah.
Things are going fine, whatever. He's in the lead, and he gets a penalty because of this overtaking that he did in lap 43 under a safety car. So to serve this penalty, he was supposed to go in like immediately, but within 3 laps. And this was towards the end of the race when they found out about the penalty. And because he had to enter within 3 laps, they decided to do it on the last lap. So that when he went into
Was
the
it the
pits,
last lap of the race or just the last possible?
the last lap of the race, which was also the last lap that he could do it.
Oh my god.
So he goes into the pit lane, and the pit lane overlaps with the end of the race.
Yeah.
So when he crosses that barrier, he's like finishing the race, but then he serves a penalty, and I guess there was like a long enough gap that he still finished in first place, even though he was in the
That's
pits.
so funny.
That's
oh
crazy.
my god.
That's really cool.
I imagine people were pissed about that.
Yeah, so here's where the drama, I guess, comes in, is because basically the FIA was like, this seems not right. And they, like, kind of, like, fought with Ferrari about it. And the FIA was like, no, yeah, this was not allowed. And I'm pretty sure this was the race. But Ferrari, like, kept fighting for it. And So it turns out that the stewards got it wrong, and 3 stewards of the FIA lost their license because they were wrong.
Oh my god. Wait, so they ruled that he couldn't have finished the race in the pit lane, or no?
Yeah, they basically ruled that, like, he didn't serve his penalty, like, within the race time or something like that, so that it wasn't actually a valid win. I'm, like, not really sure what, like, it seems pretty clear from, like, Ferrari's side, like, why they did it and, like, how that was still legal, but...
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Did it end up going to someone else, the race?
No, he won.
Oh, I thought they, like, overturned it and fired the people, or removed
No,
the
so
license.
the stewards were ruling that Ferrari couldn't do that, but Ferrari kept fighting and saying that this was allowed and that they were right, and that Michael Schumacher did in fact win. And somebody higher up at the FIA reviewed it and found that Ferrari was right, so they fired the stewards.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome. I mean, not for the stewards, but...
Yeah, not for the stewards. But yeah. So I also found that, like, thought that I should find something a little bit more dramatic. So I found this Reddit thread of this person basically saying, like, I'm new to F1, answer these questions. One of his questions was, who's the biggest asshole in the sport? Not just drivers, but manufacturers, teams, owners, etc. Obviously, K-Mag came up a ton of times in this thread.
We love a villain. He's so good.
I mean, we all know that. Another one that I thought was surprising was Ocon.
I like Ocon. I think he's a very sympathetic driver.
Why did they say that?
So I was also surprised, and the person was basically saying that, like, people will say that the biggest asshole is Ocon, and people are usually Max Verstappen fans. because of the whole Brazil situation in 2018, where basically Max, who was leading the race at the time, lapped Ocon, and Ocon tried to fight back and get himself unlapped, resulting in a collision in which Lewis Hamilton passed Max, and Max came in second. I rewatched the video a lot of times, and when you look at the onboard from each of their cars, they both seem like they're okay. Like, I'm really not sure whose fault it would be, because it seems like Ocon had enough room to go, and then all of a sudden Max, like, kind of cut him off on that turn, and like, Ocon didn't break any rules. He was allowed to unlap himself if he felt that he, like, could, and he was on, like, new soft tires, like, totally could have done it.
I can see why, though, it would be Ocon's fault, because, like, it doesn't really take priority to unlap yourself. You're not getting points or gaining a position. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And then also, but, like, when you look at it from Max's onboard, like, you really can't, like, he was like, oh, I passed Ocon is now behind me, why is he gonna fight me on this? I'm gonna take the easiest line on this corner. Turns out Ocon decided to do the same thing, and they crash.
I feel like, to be fair, I feel like that's a fair expectation. I do feel like Ocon was...
Yeah.
I like Ocon, I'm an Ocon stan, but I think he was in the wrong on that one, and it was kind of a stupid move to defend getting lapped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I
think
agree,
so, too.
but, you know, I just think that Max also handled the situation afterwards incredibly poorly.
Oh, yes, 100%. Yeah.
Lots of swearing, and then eventually even trying to, like, you know, fight him, like, punching him in the pit. Like, I don't know. It was
That
just
beautiful,
a lot.
beautiful press release where they ask him about him, and there's that one amazing soundbite of him calling Ocon a pussy.
What happened between you and Esteban after the race? We saw your altercation.
I don't really have a lot to comment on that, except that he was being a pussy.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. And it's just like, and then he said that he talked to Ocon about it, and Ocon didn't apologize, and he was, like, pissed about it. Like, he got a little bit overdramatic. But
Yeah, I think this was in the time where Max was very immature still. He still is. But
I think he's...
at this
I was
point,
going to say.
but right there, he was like peak immaturity.
So, another name on this list. Wait, Shannon, did you have something to say?
Oh, I was going to say, I hope Verstappen's on that list, because I feel like Verstappen has beef with everyone. Like,
Yeah, so
at
I
any given
actually
moment.
didn't see Max Verstappen come up a lot. I did see Jos Verstappen come up.
Oh.
His dad.
Oh.
Interesting.
So,
Yeah.
okay, I guess it's no surprise that Max, has some anger issues, to deal with. Whatever. It's very clear that he gets that from his father. Basically,
How
on
so?
Jos Verstappen's Wikipedia page, he has a little section called controversy, and each of those little things, it's like 3 separate incidents, I think, which are all very serious, but 3 separate incidents regarding, like, assault and, like, actually, like, beating somebody up, essentially.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't know. Basically, so I can read through these because I'm just like, it was just a lot. So there was a 1998 karting incident where a man suffered a fractured skull, and I think it's like saying Jos and his dad were found guilty of assault.
Oh my god.
And got 5-year suspensions after like a settlement. In December of 2008, he was charged with assaulting his wife after they had separated.
Dude, what?
Got a restraining order, 3 months probation, and a suspended prison sentence.
Jesus.
And then
Well,
in November of 2011, there were reports that he assaulted his ex-girlfriend. Though he says that they like were only just having a discussion. And then in January of 2012, he was arrested on attempted murder charges.
For who?
Saying that
What?
Yeah, saying that he drove his car into his ex-girlfriend. Same ex-girlfriend from before.
Oh.
But then, apparently they got back together and got married and had a child in 2014.
Literally, imagine having a kid with someone that tried to run you over. That's messy. That is drama.
I'm sorry,
oh my
but
God.
what? No wonder Max has such a bad temper.
Yeah, like I mean, Max has a terrible temper, but it's obviously because he's never seen somebody with control, if that is his dad.
Yeah.
Well, he just needs someone to
Yikes.
model good behavior for him, you know?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
I was like reading through this and I was like, it just got progressively worse and worse, and I was like, attempted murder, and I was like, are you kidding me right now?
Jesus Christ.
And then she married him?
Yeah, what the fuck?
This is like a kink.
Okay, kill me. Kill me,
Kill
Daddy.
me, please.
Run me over.
And then marry
Maybe that is a
me.
kink. That's because
my
he's an F1 driver. Maybe they're like, oh, run me over with your F1
It's
car.
like, it reminds me of that Mean Girls thing where it's like Regina George punched me in the face. Like, I would love.
Oh, yeah.
It's like if Carlos Sainz hit me with a car.
Honestly, Charles, hit me up.
But yeah, and I think what I thought was funny is that basically they said like he's the biggest asshole in F1, and they also said that Jacques, my French pronunciation is terrible, Villeneuve, I don't know how you say his last name.
Sure.
Is also a good contender, but they were like saying like he's actually a good driver because Jos Verstappen, despite his 106 Formula One starts, has only ever been on the podium twice, with 17 points to his name. So
Amazing. Fantastic. Yeah, you reap what you sow. If you're gonna be a shitty person, you don't deserve those podiums. Get the fuck
Exactly.
out of here.
exactly.
Yeah. Big drama.
Yeah, that was a real drama-rama. I think this... you know what's funny is I feel like we've spent, a whole episode talking about drama, and I feel like we've still barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, I'm
for
sure there's
here.
so much more. There's so much
you know
more.
what? I'm looking forward to 2021. I'm hoping for more drama, more
Hell yeah.
personal beef, and yeah, I think that about wraps up the show for today. Thank you so much for listening. You can follow us on our socials. We're at BoxBoxBox Podcast on TikTok and Instagram, and at BoxBoxBoxPod on Twitter. Go give us a follow for some F1 memes. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Tschüssi!
Cheers!